We're starting. So yeah, good to see you again. Julia, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Sinhe Zhu. I go by Julia, just easier for everyone to say. So I Chinese American. I came to America, was 14 from China, and I went to a very small high school in Pennsylvania. I was the only non-Caucasian student in my entire high school. So from not speaking English to 4 years later, I graduated top 5 in my high school graduating class, and I was the only student in my high school's history to get into the U.S. Naval Academy. At the U.S. Naval Academy, as a quantitative economics major, where I met my partner in business and in life, Phillip Middleton. Because we're in the same major, we're both econ major. And as Academy, so like we're now both nuclear engineers in the Navy, so we're nuke SWO. And after the Academy, I also attended Johns Hopkins University Carey Business School, where I received my master's degree in finance. Now I'm in sunny San Diego, ready to go to Japan in June.
Cool. All right, good to have you on, Julia. Last time we met, you explained to us how you explained a lot, but you explained to us that you have 3 properties. They're not all homes, but you have 3 properties, and you're 22, right?
Okay, I cannot say that I have it because definitely it's Philip and I. If anything, like he probably has a larger portion of it, definitely actually. But anyway, so like together as a team, again, like we have our own LLC. It's called Middlebridge Holdings LLC. You guys can go find it. We have our own website and everything. So Middlebridge Holdings LLC, we purchased a condo in Japan, a condo in Guam, and a piece of land in Alaska.
Okay. Why did you it seems like it's really spaced out. There's a lot of diversity there. Why did you decide to space out versus I guess like focusing on one market? Diversify, that's the word I'm looking for. Why did you decide to diversify?
I guess we did not intentionally diversify. Very much so, we chose our real estate property, like how we did with the stock market. And again, we were immatures, like amateurs at real estate. So both Philip and I were exposed to the stock market pretty early on. And however, we were not exposed to the real estate market until August last year. So we were very new to the real estate market when we decided to buy. And as military, naturally, when we first exposed to the real estate market, it's all about VA loan, right? Like ADPI, use your VA loan, house hack, and stuff like that. However, because our first duty station is Japan, so we did not have the option to use our VA loan or to house hack. Therefore, we just became very creative and we purchased. And then we found this really interesting niche market of military people overseas, because military people overseas, the government pays like their landlord a premium rent. So for example, like the same house renting to locals would be like $1,000, but renting to the military, because the government's paying, so the renter has no incentive to negotiate the price. So the government would pay like a blanket $2,000, even though fair market value would just be $1,000. So we see the opportunity and we capitalized on the opportunity. Yeah, so that's how we got our first property. And then we were really interested in Alaska. We saw this piece of land in downtown Alaska, Anchorage, very close to the airport. 20 years ago, during the gold rush period in Alaska, it was probably worth like $20,000. But after the gold rush, the land price in Alaska plummeted. So right now, we just thought it'd be very interesting to own a piece of land there. It's by no means expensive anyways. And then the house in Guam is we discovered the military renter market overseas in Japan. So we kind of like using the same thought process. We found Guam, where it's the only place you can get US loan, yet renting to military with like the premium because the government's paying for it. So those are just interesting markets. However, now that we have like dabbled with single family home or just condos, personal investing, we definitely want to focus in Japan and in Guam, and our goal for 2021 is to do one syndication deal in either location.
Either in Guam or Japan?
Yep. Okay. That's our primary market.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think of where else you can receive because the term is OHA versus BAH, but basically the government, instead of giving you a stipend and letting you spend it how you want, they give your housing. The government, as a military service member, gives your housing allowance directly to the property owner or the manager, correct?
Yep.
So I'm thinking, what else? Did we still have a base in Puerto Rico? Because I guess Puerto Rico would fall under uh, the same terms. I know we used to have a base in Puerto Rico. I used to be able to get stationed in Puerto Rico, but
That would be nice. Sign me up. I want to get stationed in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico is a lot closer to the continental U.S., so maybe it'd be an easier trip.
Yeah, probably.
No, but
Definitely closer than Guam.
yeah, Guam's nice. I lived in Guam for a couple of years. I like Guam.
Mhm.
And it's super interesting that you guys discovered Japan and Guam. But what really turned you on to Alaska? There's like a clear reason for Japan and Guam. It's the rent that you're receiving for the property is artificially higher than it would be normally. But
Mhm.
why Alaska?
Oh, that's just kind of like a aspect. I don't know. So we personally, like, I don't want to get into politics here. Like, doesn't matter. We just personally kind of believes in global warming,
Mhm.
and obviously, like in the past like 3 or 4 decades, there's a trend of people moving to warmer locations, like near the beach. However, with like the climate change and everything, we think in the next like 4 or 5 decades, like we're not saying next year or so, we're saying like 50 years down the road, maybe there'll be a reverse trend of people like moving to colder places. And a lot, I don't know if you ever been to Alaska or not. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
I've been once or twice. I've been twice. I like it.
Yeah, like I went there in the summertime, and I went to the glaciers of Alaska. It's just absolutely beautiful. The air is so nice, and again, like by the property we bought is by no means cheap, like by no means expensive. It's quite cheap. It's in a great location, downtown Anchorage, near the airport, and we bought it for like a very discounted price. And we think like we're not planning to do anything on it right now. We just think like if we just hold it for like 4 or 5 decades,
Mhm.
maybe like later down the road you will appreciate a lot. But that's just something that we thought would be interesting. It's not our focus.
Okay. Where your focus right now is multifamily syndication?
Yes, that
Okay.
that that is our focus, just in Japan and Guam.
Multifamily syndication, Japan or Guam. Okay.
Mhm.
For the multifamily aspect of it, what attracts you to multifamily versus like office or retail or hospitality?
So for both locations, we're targeting the military renters. So,
Okay.
they're not going to be renting restaurants. They're not going to be renting hotels. They'll be like renting houses. So, like kind of we have a targeted audience. And again, we're very open-minded. For example, in Guam, we're actually looking at a golf course right now. If we were to purchase a golf course, like there's definitely a chance where we want to make it into single-family homes or townhouse. But we're very open-minded. Again, we're young investors. It doesn't make sense for us to like close ourselves, like shut down opportunities just because like we don't focus on that or stuff like that.
Okay. The golf course is super interesting. Can you tell me a little bit more about your golf course idea?
Yeah, absolutely. So we found this off-market deal thanks to our very, very resourceful realtor. And we're also talking to multiple realtors, but like we're definitely working specifically with one now. So like we're working with one realtor and she's very resourceful and she found this off-market deal. So basically a group of Taiwan investors have bought this like 700,000 meters square. So it's a close like 180 acres. So just a huge piece of land a few years ago for 11 million, and they made it into like a country club, so like a golf course, 18 hole with a clubhouse and everything, and it's like in the pud zone. So basically, you can build anything on that lot. Like you can make townhouse, you can senior living, even restaurants, office buildings. You can make anything that piece of land. And they were selling it for 18 million. However, there's a huge price drop to 13 million just a few weeks ago. Yeah, it's a huge price drop. And we're very, very interested, but it'll be a very, very ambitious deal for us as like our the first time doing syndication and like two young like investors as a team. So we're also aggressively networking and educating ourselves, hoping to find other more experienced GP who can join us and potentially make it happen.
Okay. How are you guys? Because I at the same stage with my partner Fook and I, we're starting a syndication. It's pretty much complete. We've gathered a bunch of LP investors, a few key partners, but what's your experience looking for general partners or just more experienced people to help you out with the process?
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely a few steps ahead of me because we like not have not really started the process yet. We just found this really interesting deal and we want to move forward with it, but we kind of lack the experience, the resources, the capital to move forward with it. So just a lot of networking. I go to a lot of like networking events. Very active, just reaching out to people on LinkedIn, just like not really shy, able to say hi and like I guess has the courage of like getting turned down and just try again. It's pretty fun. I was talking to my guy friend about it, and he was like, "Now I finally understand how I feel when I get turned down at bars." I'm like, "Yes, I do know how you feel." Because again, there are people who just straight up be like, "No, I'm not interested. Like you're too young, you're not experienced. We don't believe in you. Guam is too far." People like that who are pretty close-minded or who are just very comfortable in their niche. Like I'm sure everyone have their market. Like we should not be judging other people and their investment style, but just quite a lot of times when I pitch an idea, people just look at my age, or like look at the distance and just completely shut it down before you even like listen to us any further. So we're definitely just reaching out to a lot of people, and like out of 10, there's definitely one person who's willing to like hear what I have to say. And obviously at the same time, I'm very grateful. I went to the Naval Academy. It's a great like just networking platform. Is a great place to be from. And being in the military, a lot of resources opened up to me. And being a young woman, I think a lot of people are willing to help me.
That's awesome. No, I totally agree. I think something that really helped me out, especially when I was just starting off, and I didn't start off in syndication. I started off in sales. It was being in the military. I joke that 100, not 100%, but well, here I'll give you 100. So 100% of my marketing dollars have what's a better way to put it? 0% of my marketing dollars have resulted in a deal. 100% of my income from anything I do real estate related, especially sales and property management, has all been through networking, either people at work in the military or people at church, or through networking. Actually, I'm starting to get people just through networking. I have a client who was referred to me from a Zoom meeting that I go to once a month. It's like, oh yeah, Mike's a property manager. Here you go, and he just gave me the account. And obviously, we take like extra care. We take care of everybody, but we take extra care of the referrals because we want to keep referrals coming. And by doing that, I go to different networking meetings. But how do you find your networking meetings that you go to?
LinkedIn, LinkedIn, Facebook group, yeah.
LinkedIn, really?
Just LinkedIn. Just
Okay.
probably like 90% are from LinkedIn.
Really? I didn't know there were LinkedIn. So I find the groups that I go to on either Facebook or Eventbrite. There's another meetup.com. So meetup.com, Eventbrite, and Facebook. But I had no idea there were groups on LinkedIn. I was looking around and I was sure that they would try to emulate something that Facebook or like Instagram. I didn't see it. So somewhere I'll just keep looking. Somewhere buried in LinkedIn, there are LinkedIn groups where you just chat with each other.
No, I can definitely like set you up with a few. For example, like on Tuesday, there's a Tuesday at 8 by Julia Peterson and Brian Briscoe. He has one on Friday. I think just it's kind of hard for us because as military, we don't really control our schedule. So sometimes hit or miss. Like for Brian Briscoe's meeting is like a lunchtime meeting on the East Coast. So for us, it's like 10 a.m. on a Friday where I don't know about you, but I'm always at work. So
I'm
like
at work every other Friday, so it works.
yeah, so like I'm always at work on Friday morning. Like I work during the weekdays. So for me, I have a lot more constraint on when I can go, when I cannot.
Mm,
For example, there's one like it's like a Thursday like afternoon, and I just could not go. So there are definitely constraints, but it's just a like if you just keep looking, just look up real estate. There are so much. Just I Google it. I just Google real estate, like yeah.
okay. No, that helps a lot.
Mhm.
Is there a what is the deal that you're most proud of? I guess like what is your most profitable deal that you have? And then what is the deal that you're most proud of? It might not be the same deal.
I mean, we don't have that many deals to like talk about. Do you have a
You have
difference?
three. Three deals is a
Oh,
lot.
the Guam, the Alaska one doesn't generate anything. Probably won't be for the next like 4 or 5 decades.
Okay.
So that one just like yeah, they're sitting there. um, so probably just Japan is our first deal. It was the most difficult one because it's overseas. So like our first apartment we bought is literally a new like a foreign country, language barrier, no bank will lend to us. We like could not find a realtor at first. The time difference, just the cultural barriers, and just no predecessor or just the first person to do it. That's our like most difficult deal. But we learned so much from it, and that gave us is an interesting story to tell.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um, and lastly, what is your superpower?
My superpower.
For example,
um,
I think my superpower is being able to, I guess, I think I have a decent emotional intelligence. If I walk into a room, I can understand, I guess, like the vibe of a place, and more importantly, I think the vibe of a person. It's really easy for me to figure out if I can trust someone or not.
mhm.
And you pick who you want, but I found that
Yeah.
I'm almost never wrong with who I like gravitate to or who I let gravitate
Oh,
towards me. Does that make sense?
okay, interesting. Do you trust me?
Yeah, of course. I wouldn't have invited you on the podcast.
I felt like I have to ask that question since he has a superpower. Um, my superpowers are I just wasn't prepared for the question. I guess I just never give up. I have a drive. Um, so like being a first generation immigrant, Chinese American, minority, female, like the only non-Caucasian kid in my whole high school. Now as a female minority immigrant officer in the U.S. Navy, um, the only child, um, and everything. I have a chip on my shoulder. I just have this drive. I want to make something out of this life. So if you give me an idea, if you present me an opportunity, I will not let it pass. Like if you put an opportunity in front of me, I'll do everything I can to grasp the opportunity. Doesn't matter how hard or how lofty it might seem. Like I go after it. So I think just very determined, very driven. That might be my superpower.
Oh, all
I
right.
mean, other than that, like I really like one of my friends saying she was like, I'm not super smart, but I'm smart enough. I'm not super pretty, but I'm pretty enough. I'm not super like sociable, but I'm sociable enough. Therefore, I'm a good person. And I feel like I use the same saying about myself.
Okay.
I don't think I'm a superstar at any particular area, but like put everything together, I think I'm a pretty decent person.
I think that, yeah, no one needs to be a genius at anything um, to be successful. I think they just need to be consistent. If
Mhm.
you're going in the right direction and you're consistently going the right direction, you're
Mhm.
course correcting, then you'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely. You know the saying in the Navy, slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yes, I totally agree. What's a good place for my listeners to get a hold of you if they want to learn more about either your syndication or what investing activities you've got going on in Japan and Guam?
Definitely LinkedIn. If you just
LinkedIn.
look up Sinhe Julia Ju, XINHE, Julia JLA, last name Z as Zulu, H as Hotel, U as Uniform. you can definitely find me. I'm pretty positive I'm the only person with this name.
Awesome. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'll make sure to put it in the show notes and the description.
Mhm.
But thanks, Julia. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Michael.